You're welcome to the Word of Women, and believe me, in the Word of Women, amazing things happen. Call me sentimental. Well, I'm a woman. It's Women in Politics, and on this edition of Women in Politics, you cannot believe who we have as our guest. She used to be the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, and amazingly, while serving as the Deputy Governor, she was also the Commissioner of Education. Can you beat that? And you know, that goes a long way in proving right the fact that women can multitask. Hence, we say women are good leaders. I am EBUNLOMO ADEKUNLE. I'm your host.
CORETV News, expanding your view.
It's good to have you here, Her Excellency Sarah Shoson. You look gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you were once a Deputy Governor of Lagos State. Being in that position for the time you were, what would you say is the challenge peculiar to women leaders in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Ebu. My name is Princess Sarah Shoson, OFR. The challenge is not much because in our party ACN that has translated to
APC.
APC, thank you. Women have always been given opportunities to lead. But nevertheless, we still have some people among a group of people that might not be too comfortable with women being their leaders. And oftentimes, they want to create situations where you have to make mistakes, or create situations where you have to defend yourself and prove your worth in whatever responsibility you've been given. Because they see you as weak, and I see you as a wife to a man, that after all, in our society, men are the head, and women should always give it to the men at all times. But if a woman prove himself, you prove yourself to say, I deserve what I'm doing, and up to the task I've been given, and I'm successful at it. So why not? So the challenge is always the complex. I want to regard it as a complex from some men. They find it uncomfortable working with women, especially in politics. They see us as intruders, whereas it is not. We complement ourselves.
But some
we've been doing
have argued too that gender equality is not an African thing, that a woman is supposed to be subordinate to the man. Hence, the reason why our homes are breaking up, because women have left their duties and are pursuing careers.
Well, the tradition in most nations, you have your tradition, you have your culture. Women, no matter what position you hold, we still support that African tradition of respecting, not being a subordinate where you should be equal, especially where you are both qualified for that job, where you have proved yourself to be even better than the other gender, than the male gender. So why not the equality? And in most cases, women, they still give it. They give the respect and whatever it takes to senior colleagues or whoever deserves it. But if you don't deserve it, they will not give it to you. Equality does not make that we don't respect ourselves or we forget the African tradition and culture. The respect is still there for the male gender.
Recently, Deborah Spa, the president of the Barnard College in New York, was arguing in a recent debate, and she says that a woman has 18 hours in a week, averagely, to feed a newborn. And putting that side by side with pursuing a career, going into politics, is not possible. And she rounded up our argument by saying that the hand that rocks the cradle does not rock the boardroom. What do you have to say?
Well, I will not totally agree with that. Because even you go to the scriptures, you go to the book of the religious books, you will see different roles that women have played. And in this present age, as she's performing in the boardroom, likewise she's performing back home. And when it comes to politics, we have longer hours for meetings, they are there. You go out there to solicit for support for your party, women are there. And back home, you want to ensure that the home is adequately kept. Forget if we are using ourselves, you are using cooks, but you are still there to be the supervisor and the manager. So, being a multitasker, a woman, God has given that gift to a woman to be able to do all those and still succeed at the boardroom.
So let's go to your background in education.
Well?
Yes, you served in the Ministry of Education.
Yeah.
And to be specific, basic education, talking about primary school. How would you rate the level of decadence in Nigeria, considering the fact that primary school serves as the basis for every child?
Talking about decadence, it did not come up just in one day. That's all been there due to structure, faulty structure, mismanagement, leadership, and so on and so forth. But those are not the issues for now. What everyone should be concerned about now is how do we solve these problems of decay. Primary education is the foundation, and is one area I think more attention should be given now to redeem the decadence in education, the decay. We have to go back to basics to see that our primary schools are what it should be, especially in those days when it's older of standard 6 there. It's an equivalent to masters these days. Our fathers then, they have standard 6, and it was that standard 6 many of them used to climb to the top. So we have to go back now to rescue our primary education by having quality teachers, by having the curriculum should be changed as well to meet today's need, and training and retraining of our teachers. That is the solution, part of the solution to redress primary education.
But was that done when you were in office?
While I was in the office, and even up till now, because I still follow up, I'm still a stakeholder. Lagos state governments are always been so concerned. I want to just take you back a little bit. Even during the time of Ashiwaju, I was at State Universal Basic Education. It was PEB then. The structures were gone. It was the intervention from Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that they had to rehabilitate many schools. You see many of those schools, you will be weeping. There was a lady that broke down when she came, when she looked at the pictures of the structures. Not you see the children. So what kind of education will take place there? And after Ashiwaju's administration, that of BRF, and it continued, and even aggressively, on what his predecessor has done. So it has always been one area that a lot of explanation has always been going in, but because the rot has been so much, the public might not feel it in time. So many people will say, a lot of pictures then, some newspapers that they highlight those areas often, irrespective of what we are doing, not even highlighting what efforts are being done. Education
because I was
section.
wondering then, schools around at that time, you find children in tattered uniform, you find them not being able to construct simple sentences, you find them, even teachers not being able to speak good English. And what we wonder what the government was doing at that time.
Then at that time, but things have changed. And you know, I wouldn't want to blame any of those teachers as well, because there was a time that local government was administering education, primary education, before it was taken over. That was one of the reasons why state primary education board were created then, so that quality education will be there. Those are things of the past. These days you don't see that, because a lot of work has been done in that area. And another thing is that even parents are not ready. Involvement of parents are lacking when it comes to primary education. They are not ready, especially when they discover that it's free education. They are not ready to even buy uniform of how much for their wards. They would rather buy a shebi instead of buying uniform. Thank God government took it over, provided books, provided everything. Yet, they cannot even give their children food to come to school.
Talking about what government has done in primary schools, one will wonder why parents still run after private schools. Though we say education is free, but what kind of education is free? How qualitative is such education?
I will tell you why many parents, out of ignorance, many parents, especially of the humble background, they think it's the in thing, it is elitist. Why can't I send my child to a private primary school? Whereas most of these private so-called, while there's so many that's of standard, many thousands out there, they are not. Because I worked in the inspectorate division there, inspectorate sector, the Ministry of Education, and we know what we see out there. The teachers are maybe schools are attempted, not qualified to teach, and it's just a matter of, I don't have anything to do, let me just find 3-bedroom flat and they start to school. And most of these parents, like I said, out of ignorance, they say, I want to belong. My child is also attending a private school. Forgetting that the public schools are the best.
But whose fault is that? Is it not the government who approves those schools? Because you see a very bad school and you see the sign, but government approved.
You know, in this country, there are a lot of people that don't abide with regulations, with rules, with laws. I've just shared my experience when I was inspectorate. There are many out there, they don't obtain anybody's permission before they set up schools. Even when I came in there, when I was in charge of education as a deputy governor, I was out there to close down many of these schools. And there were a lot of outcry, even from the public that we are trying to help, that saying that, why are we closing down these schools? When you see schools that even side by side with an hotel, with a guest house, sharing, and you know, and the public, we are now criticizing us for doing that. So which side? So what do you expect government to do? So we have to mellow down and try to encourage, sensitize by telling them, go back to the public school. I am the product of public school. And in the 60s, and even then, we were many in the classroom. Even then, nothing was adequate. And as time goes on, the population is increasing. So you know what demand will be on education. Education is a social need. It's social service. There is health. There is education. There are some other things that will draw government attention. So all the revenue of government cannot be put alone, cannot be expended on education.
Let's go to the issue of WAEC.
Yes.
39 new subjects was introduced to WAEC, and one would wonder, if a child who has not been trained in such subjects is to take an examination, how would such a child cope?
You see, I don't know what is really happening when it talks this issue of introducing, then cancelling some subjects. We are not getting it right there. And oftentimes when I have opportunity to meet with those responsible for curriculum, and I always take them up on it. In most places, in most nations, you structure your curriculum in a way that it will be beneficial to the society and to the student. You'll be able to cope. Why make it cumbersome for them? Especially when we don't even have teachers in those areas. Or what they've just introduced recently, I don't know the reason why they did it, but where are the teachers? Where are the facilities? Why don't you first of all get over all this before now saying you are introducing these subjects and you want these children to learn this so that they can have a skill? The essence is to make them to have skills that they won't, after graduation, start looking for jobs.
CORETV News, expanding your view.
Going to the northern part of the country, Governor Shetima of Borno had to shut down 85 schools in addition to the 5 being closed by the federal government around the states where emergency rule is being declared. What effect does that have on the education of these children being put out of school? And thinking that Boko Haram at a point was saying it doesn't want Western education, and that's the reason for the violence. Does it mean they're having an upper hand? Because that is what they want, and it's happening already.
I want to say no, they are not having an upper hand. But the governor has a responsibility to keep the children safe. No parents, you all imagine, even yes, I'm a parent. The day that thing happened, that they were murdered, it was a really bad day for everybody. I wept inside. That how can people just go in the midnight to kill innocent children? So closing down those schools for the meantime to find solution. It's not too bad an idea. I think they can make up time. You can always make up time that the children that are out of school for this, just for the meantime, they can extend the school session for them. They make some arrangements. I don't think they will lose that. It's better to have them alive than to have them dead. I think I support what the governor is doing. Coming to the Boko Haram is just, I don't know, they are not ghosts. There will be some of the leaders in the north that know them. There will be some other people that know these people. And I want to join others to beg them to please to always give information. They cannot overrun the country. They cannot overrun that.
So you're saying Boko Haram is not faceless?
They are not faceless.
The government knows Boko Haram?
I'm not saying government, but there will be some people that know them. There will be some people that know them in that area of the operation. So if they don't keep information, so government can always preempt whatever attack they want to do. If they get information in time, our security is not as bad as that. But they still need improvement. Because from what we read, that their weapons are more sophisticated than that of our security.
Does that not appear true?
Well, we are not on the field. We are not seeing the kind of ammunition they are using.
But recently, when a camp was attacked by this
they saw the kind of ammunition they stocked there.
The military ammunition didn't work. It just stopped, and they gave 2 reasons. It's either it's because of the age or it was a case of sabotage.
That's a wake-up call for the commander in charge now. He told us they are moved nearer. So it's a wake-up call, whatever they can do. And they're spending billions. So let the billions they are spending be justified. Well, we cannot just You know, this Boko Haram thing is not, I'm sure they get outside help, outside finance and everything. Just recently we were reading that a Turkish airline brought in some arms. Maybe those are the ways they got all this. We won't give up. We won't just say our security is
But is that not to say that our roots, the borders to Nigeria, are porous?
No, those are very porous. Something has to be done about those ones because people come in and go out anywhere. Even our boundary is there. Even with Cotonou and all these places, you know, people just go through bush paths. Our boundaries are porous. So something has to be done.
So one question is, what is the problem with immigration? The same Nigerian Immigration Service that recruited and 19 people lost their lives.
I want to say, and this is in many areas of corruption. Many, they have seen these areas as areas of making money. That is why many people want to be in custom, they want to be in immigration, they want to be where they can always extort money from people. It's well-known experience what they do. Even to foreigners when they come in. You want to travel out, they'll be asking for money. That if you don't want us to open your box, you settle us. Until our orientation is changed. Now whatever work I'm doing, I'm happy doing it. And I'm happy with whatever salary I'm getting from there. Until then, we won't get it right with this immigration thing. And I know to get competent, God-fearing people in these areas is also difficult because the kind of country we have. Because they say some people are making millions and nothing is happening to them. Wow, this is my own small office. I won't make millions as well. It's just a change of heart and the fear of God. If one has fear of God, you will do your work without favor, without bias, without anything.
So it is true that government agencies are corrupt?
Well, you and I know what is happening. So?
And talking about corruption, some people have said maybe a change of hands would do justification to Nigeria. And women leaders have said maybe women should be put in leadership position to save Nigeria from corruption. But recently we have indictments on even women leaders talking about the aviation sector, talking about the petroleum sector. So what is that change women can bring since we have indictments?
Thank you very much, Ebun, on that core area. I will still stand by women holding many of these sensitive positions because a larger percentage of women, we have that fear that I don't want my name to be damaged. I have children, I have a family. They are more protective of names than men. Some women are more daring, they wouldn't care less. Maybe a lesser percentage. And even those women that have done it sometimes, they have done it with the backing of men that encouraged them to do it.
That's corruption.
Yes. Many of them that will have been found guilty because the law courts have not found any of these ones guilty. And so we cannot say they are guilty of the accusation. But I want to say, whatever woman is caught in corruption is with the backing of men. They taught them to do it and they encouraged them to do it.
So does that mean women don't have a mind of their own?
Women have a mind of their own, but in most cases, I've told you, it's more like me, you cannot, I know my own. I can speak up for myself that you can't make me to do what I know will endanger my life or will endanger my name. So it depends on your, like I said, a lesser percentage of, but many women that I know, they will stand on their principles, they will stand on their integrity and will say no. You can have whatever you've given me. I'm not going to allow my name to be damaged. But likewise, men, some will still say no, while some will submit. So likewise, some women will submit, and many women, I want to say many women will not.
The petroleum sector of this country is being handled by a woman. And for a while now, we've been having issues about the subsidy removal. One would wonder, if so much has been paid on subsidy, why do we still pay much on kerosene, on even fuel? And talking about the current scarcity that has befallen Nigeria, what do you have to say about that?
Well, we have the sectors that should do what they are supposed to do. If we have such accusations and we've really observed that we are not getting what the subsidy is supposed to do, then what is the National Assembly? Thank God the House of Reps is stepping in. I read from the newspaper, but most times you don't believe what you read from the newspaper. That she's been investigated, NNPC is being investigated. Please, while doing this, they should do it and allow Nigerians to trust them, because many of the things, even our National Assembly, they embark upon, they don't complete, and we don't know what the results. Oftentimes, midway, you don't hear anything again. So they should not only shout, they should not only back, but there should be action. So that when we see examples, maybe this will teach others lessons that you don't just make a mess of your country's revenue of money. I think a thorough investigation should be done to ascertain that really money is missing, money is not managed properly, and whatever. And whoever is found guilty should face the law.
Is it true that privatization of our refineries would savage the downstream sector?
Well, that's an economic issue. If it is working in other places, why not? If you can work here as well. If privatization is working in other places, let it be.
Has it been working for Nigeria? Power sector just got privatized.
It's really unfortunate, because this is what every one of us have been looking forward to. But lights, I used to enjoy better lights in our area here, but it has become so much challenging.
Privatization made it worse?
I don't know. Maybe. While some areas, because in Ikeja, where my office is, we have lights now. Even if it's for 2 hours or 1 hour. Unlike before that, it was nothing. We run on generator. But these days, we have lights 1 hour, 2 hours. But it has become so bad in this part of Lagos. So I don't know. There was a time they said there were saboteurs. Our country is just, I don't know. Our country, we need men that fear God. We need women that fear God, so that we do things right. And we need to empathize with fellow human beings, so that we do that is right. I wonder why it will be in private hands, and yet we'll be suffering so much. If it's working for other places, why will it not work for our country? Because of money. Because money is everything to many people. That is the only thing.
On the day this morning, Nigerians concurring corruption, cites June 1st of the Punch newspaper. Anonymous Nigerian Governors Forum calls for Okunjo Ibiala's resignation.
Says new PDP.
Page 2 of the Punch newspaper. The Dailies at 7:20 a.m. every day on CORETV News.
Let's move to issues that relate more with women.
Yes.
2015 election is fast approaching. Do you foresee a female governor or president?
I pray for one. I pray that the powers that be in our parties, we allow this to be. And let women, we can't just be subordinates all the time. We can't be subordinates to. They should give an opportunity, at least for a woman. We have women governors, women presidents all over the world. And we have a large population of women now in politics. Knowledgeable women, competent women. So opportunity should be given. Not only even as governorship. In many of, I was reading of, is it not Malawi? The percentage of women in their government now is higher than that of men. An African country. Is it Rwanda? Is either Rwanda? I think it's Rwanda. The percentage of women they have in politics. And when you consider the role that women play for each party to win, we deserve more. We deserve more.
Now let's talk about you as a person. You must have had challenges in your political career. What were some of those challenges you had?
You know, in politics, they say you play politics, a little bit of lies, a little bit of truth, and so on and so forth. But to me, my politics is politics without violence, politics with human face, politics that will make my people to be better, a politics that I can account for whatever I have done. Not irresponsibility in politics, because politics, that's you get away with things. Some of the challenges I had then was calling a spade, and ensuring that integrity is there, meritocracy is there. If I have somebody that is better at something, I would rather give you that opportunity than somebody that does not deserve it. But you know, in politics, they wave that aside oftentimes and tell, because we are playing politics, you have to give it to somebody that is not deserving of it, or somebody that is not qualified. I'm not comfortable with such things.
Some have said that politics in Nigeria is more of an inheritance than merit. And in connection to the fact that you were born of a man who was also a long-standing member of Action Group, the defunct Action Group.
Yes.
Is it true?
I want to say it's not more of inheritance. It's just in few cases, because most of us, you know, it's like any other profession. If your father is a lawyer, he's been a successful lawyer for long, he has an office. Most of the children, if you happen to study law as well, you go on with it. Likewise, some of us that our parents have been career, because politics to them is career. One way or the other, even if at the beginning we are not so much aligned to that area, we can be influenced into it later.
But does it become easier for you when your father has been in politics to be a politician?
Well, I want to say it becomes more easier because his compatriots, his colleagues, at least with, oh, the father, that is if your father did well. If your father didn't do well, they will say, it can't be. But if he's one of those who contributed, one of the progressive, surely you will ride on the back. So I want to say I rode on the back of my father.
So it is true that you inherit political positions in Nigeria?
I didn't inherit. If I didn't deserve it, they won't give it to me. If I'm not qualified for that office, I don't think I'll be given. So it's not that kind of inheritance that you have to pass on. If they see the quality in you that you can do it, it's not in most cases, there are a lot of our fathers out there. I want to say divine intervention sometimes, something you don't expect comes your way, that's beyond your power, or something you don't think of, and by divine intervention. So it's not an inheritance, it's more of divine thing. Not an inheritance. And if you don't deserve it, they won't give it to you, because there are things they want to look at. They won't say because your father was one of a strong member of the party and you have a primary school or school certificate, let's put her there. You must be qualified for that position too.
You were deputy governor in Lagos State. And what would wonder, what happened when that same governor was supposed to go for a second term and you were not going for a second time? Was that more of a sacrifice?
I don't understand what you're trying to ask, but I want to say, you know, in politics, offices, positions are always appropriated to areas, and there is always a pattern or a structure on ground. An office is for 4 years. I was opportune to be given that opportunity, to be given that position for that 4 years. And the party can take any decision. In politics, the party's word comes above any other person. Since my party felt, well, let's move this office to another area of our states, Well and good. That is party supremacy. But thank God my party have not said it was because of your you didn't perform. It's because you did this. But rather they said we want to make it go round. And the party meant well. So
it's been a wonderful time with you. We've been talking with Her Excellency Sarah Shoson, and I hope next time we come into this place you would welcome us.
Definitely.